Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Varus AP supplementary guide. Now I say this is a supplementary guide because I don't think Varus AP is that good. In fact, I don't think Varus is that good as a champion. I think he's really fallen out of favor ever since Bloodthirster really became meta, because I think that pretty much in every role of Varus there's someone better. Like AP, there are better AP options, like like Kaisa, for example. Building AP is a better option than AP Varus. Playing Varus on hit, there's so many other better hyper carries and on hit champions than him. But anyways, of course, this is a viable AP build, so we're gonna actually go over it and talk about what this is all about. So straight into the items. So the first item we're going to start with is obviously Boots of Mana. Now this one's kind of a no-brainer. You get a huge amount of AP, the mana regen, and the 8 magic pen. And the mana regen here is actually very useful, like surprisingly, because obviously Varus uses a lot of mana, and this mana regen actually makes the difference, which for most champions it really doesn't. Then we of course go into Gnash's Tooth, which gives us attack speed, ability haste, more AP of course, because you already have this, so this is going to give you 60 AP, and the on-hit magic damage. Next up we have Riftmaker, which of course gives you a little bit of health, more AP, magic pen, ability haste, Omnivamp, but most importantly the Void Corruption passive, which of course allows you to stack up corruption every second, and at 3 stacks you deal 9% true damage. So pretty much whenever you ult someone and go for an ult combo, your Riftmaker should come right up just as you are about to launch your arrow to break the orb. So this of course increases your AP burst by a lot. Next up we go for Crown. Now of course Crown did get nerfed, but even so it is still a really strong item, and furthermore it gives you a lot of safety. So you have of course AP, magic pen, ability haste, mana, and of course the safeguard passive, which of course does block your a hostile ability and also reduces your damage, incoming damage by 70% for a second. And of course you get more AP when you're safeguarded, and if you deal magic damage you can reduce the cooldown of this. But honestly you don't really deal magic damage all that often, because you have to pop some orbs to deal magic damage, so that's not going to happen too often. Like just by your auto attacks and your spells you aren't actually really going to pop it. Or actually maybe, I'm not sure if your auto attacks from Gnash's Tooth applying the on hit magic damage actually counts for Crown. Like I never actually really experimented with that, but if it does then you can actually get Crown up quite a lot faster. I'm going to have to test that in the practice tool. So next up we have Death Cap. Now obviously by this point you should nearly be full level, and this gives you the huge amount of ability power both from your passive as well as of course from the item itself, and obviously at this point is where you're really the strongest. So your last item is a huge debate. So I have like a billion, not a billion, Infinity Orb here, because Infinity Orb of course gives you even more magic pen, and of course it also gives you that crit against people who are low. But honestly, playing AP Varus, I realize most of the time, by the time you reach this point in the build, you are already basically able to one-shot someone 100 to 0. Now the main issue with AP Varus is you ult someone, you one-shot that person, and if the corruption doesn't spread, chain of corruption that is, it's really hard to kill other people just by auto-attacking them down, because you have to auto, and then you have to pop the actual orbs. So I don't really think Infinity Orb is that useful. So most probably a more defensive option might be better. So you have a couple options here. You have of course defensive options like GA, like Maw. You of course Varus can still build a bit of AD with Maw in it to get some magic resist. But some other kind of options that I've been considering is maybe Runans might be good, like because you can actually get your orbs onto 3 people at once. And I'd say Runans is probably going to be more useful than Infinity Orb, because Runans is going to be able to let you get your orbs on more people, which is going to allow you to pop them for the burst of AP. And also, of course, you have the Trident if the enemy team is heavy on shielding. Although I have to say that items like Oceanit's Trident or items like Morelos is generally not very useful on Varus, because even if the champion has shielding or healing, you should be able to just one-shot them before any of this happens anyway. Of course, unless you have like a Soraka who's healing someone as you're trying to one-shot them, maybe not. But if let's say you're against a set, you should be able to just one-shot him before he uses his W anyway, right? So last item option I could think of is actually Cosmic Drive, because Cosmic Drive of course not only gives you good stats, of course the main point here is the huge amount of ability haste to be able to get your W and your Q up more often to pop it, but you also of course have a little bit of movement speed for a little bit of safety as well. So next up, onto the runes and spells. So for the runes, I've tested out a lot of runes. I've tested out First Strike, but personally I don't really like it because I feel that whenever your First Strike is down, you are pretty useless. So I think that actually, for me, I think Conquer is actually the best option because you can get the bonus AP, you can get the Omnivamp, and that's just really good. Of course, we also have an option of Lethal Tempo, but I don't really think you need that much attack speed. You already have Nash's Tooth, so I think Conquer is actually the best option. Brutal, because of course you still auto attack a lot, so you still apply on hit damage. Giant Slayer, because it's the best rune here. Of course, deals a ton of damage. And I also have Bloodline here just for a little Omnivamp. You could also go for Alacrity here, because of course you only get attack speed from here in your build. And Bone Plating just to block, combo damage. Now, briefly, I just want to mention, a popular option used to be Mark of the Week, and that's why I recommended it previously, but now when we can see rune damage, you realize that Mark of the Week honestly barely does any damage. Mark of the Week is a pretty bad rune when you can actually see the damage, so yeah, let's not go for that. Let's just go for the defensive option here. And for the spells, of course, we have Flash, and Ghost is what you want to take most of the time. If there are multiple assassins, then you can of course go for Exhaust as well. And Heal is an option if you guys like to take that, but I don't personally. Anyways, with all that said, let's actually just jump into the gameplay right now. Okay, so now moving on to the gameplay. As I mentioned, I think Varus is not really in a very good spot now, in terms of any of his builds. So we're going to take a look at his AP variant today. And with his AP build, pretty much the main way you damage people is popping orbs, or rather blight stacks to be more accurate. So you have your blight stacks, and you basically need to like attack them 3 times and pop the blight stacks, or you have to of course get your ult on, which will charge up the blight stacks, and then do it that way. So here Nautilus immediately goes in for a level 1 engage. I actually take my W here level 1 to trade, and the reason I do this is I normally never take W level 1. I normally take like Q or E level 1 to poke, but if you get into like an all-in fight at level 1, your W is actually going to do the most damage, because in an all-in fight you don't have time to charge your Q, your E barely does any damage, unless you're like against a Soraka at level 1 who has taken the heal spell, the healing, the W, right? Then you can cut the healing, but otherwise, in an all-in fight, W is actually the best, because the on-hit damage you get from the W is actually gonna do more damage than your Q, and whatnot. So I actually take the W level 1 to get the on-hit damage onto the Nautilus and the Varus, and we managed to trade relatively evenly in the grand scheme of things. So as I mentioned, I think the main issue with Varus is simply the fact that he needs to get these stacks on, whereas on like AD Varus you can afford to like maybe auto attack or maybe just spam your arrows, and you don't have to concern too much about the blight stacks. But here you can see that the Ezreal plays way too aggressive, takes a lot of damage. Nautilus does so as well. I'm able to actually snipe Varus, but Varus lives on 1 HP. Nautilus for some reason engages when his Ezreal is 1 HP, which gives us a free kill. By the way guys, shout out to the Senna support. The Senna support is literally just giving me the kill. She could have easily just KS'd me there, but she gave me the kill. And this is honestly, I've made Senna support videos, but yeah, I have rarely seen a good Senna. And this Senna you see in this game is a really good Senna. Like, she actually plays Senna support as a support. She gives the kills to me, which is something I don't even do when I play Senna support, right? And she's just pretty nice. Like, we never chatted the whole game at all, just emotes, but yeah, pretty nice person. And actually uses her Q to heal. Like, a lot of Senna supports don't use their Q to heal. Like, most people see Senna support Q as, this is my damage against the enemy, but she actually realizes that, hey, I can just use it to heal my allies as well, So this is a really good Senna support. Love playing with her. And yeah, so let's hop back into talking about Varus though. So Varus in the early game when you build AP, pretty weak. What obviously, like, he basically becomes like a AP burst champion, and obviously those kind of champions you need to have items. So for some reason Lee Sin engages onto Ezreal and Nautilus here. Not sure what's going on there, but here we hit level 5. We're kind of freezing the wave outside the tower. And we can see the enemy jungle as well as the support there. So unfortunately, Senna actually attacks the wave, which actually means that we have no choice but to push. So we're gonna have to turn our freeze into like a push. So this is pretty bad. Well, Cannon has actually come over here, and I actually exhausted him before he got a chance to ult, and Senna finishes off the kill. So you guys notice that I do actually have exhaust this game instead of goals, and the main reason for this is cannon, right? Exhaust is a hard counter to cannon. Just look at it. The cannon ult did basically no damage, right? Because the exhaust is completely OP against cannon. We also have the Kha'Zix, who, if you exhaust, of course, will do significantly less damage. So really, I've taken exhaust for cannon and Kha'Zix, which I think is a pretty good idea here. And of course, if Jace really jumps onto you, you could technically exhaust him as well, but Cannon and Kha'Zix are going to be my main exhaust targets, in particular Cannon, right? I have no idea why Cannon just suddenly came off of the roam. It was pretty surprising, but I think he should have actually ulted immediately. He tried to get a high value ult by ulting both of us, but he ended up making himself a lot more predictable, because obviously he was going to ult there. So I exhaust him and like ulted him, and he just basically ended up dying for it. So here we're just going to clear out the minions, and you know, of course, starting to get items is always good. So we have already our boots, we're building towards our Nash's Tooth, and we're really just looking for items. So here I was thinking of backing just to get some item components, but Senna actually sticks around, so I'm just gonna actually just stick around and push in the wave as well, since the enemy team isn't even around and they probably back in the first place. So we can get this, and here I wanted to back again, but Senna's getting free tower damage, and again I see it's only Nautilus, so here I can come over, get the plate goal, and back off. And now at this point, I'm actually just like 100-200 gold away from getting my Nash's Tooth. So I realized that, and now Senna finally wants to back, so I actually cancel my back, and I ping that I need like 100 more gold to get Nash's Tooth, and we need this wave. And the Senna gets the message, and she actually cancels her recall as well to help me push out the wave quick. And we're gonna just now quickly recall and get ourselves the Nash's Tooth. Now unfortunately, during this time, the Herald and Dragon have already spawned, and Kha'Zix has picked up the Herald. So he's going to Herald mid for the plates, and my team trades for Dragon. I'm late to the fight, so I'm trying to get there as fast as I can to make some kind of impact on the fight. Cannon actually goes down already. Here I actually find a ult onto Varus behind, Ezreal behind the Nautilus. Not sure how that happened. Honestly, I was aiming for Nautilus, but somehow it actually managed to hit the Ezreal behind him, because he was just a little bit to the left, and it actually went past him and actually hit the Ezreal, which honestly could not have gone better. So I will have to admit that was a pretty lucky shot when it comes to this one. And we can actually capitalize and pick up more tower plates, and perhaps even the whole tower, because the enemy team is only just respawning. All tower plates have been acquired already, and looks like we will actually be able to finish off the entire tower. Now unfortunately, because of that, Kha'Zix jumps in on me, so I have the exhaust on him, and I don't have ult. I don't really have any way of getting away from him. Of course, Senna does try her best. Lee Sin comes in with the kick combo. Nautilus nearly messes up the combo by CCing Lee Sin, but Lee Sin is able to get the one shot onto Ezreal. However, he stays for too long and starts to basically I don't know what he's doing, honestly. He stays for too long after getting the kill, and I assume he was trying to kill Nautilus, but really you're not going to kill a Nautilus at like such high HP when Kha'Zix is around especially, and he ends up just dying instead. So a little bit of a questionable decision there. Now Senna actually ults to try to interrupt the back of Kha'Zix, because she sees that I'm on the way to lane, so she's thinking maybe if she can stop the Kha'Zix back, I can actually just get in there with my like flash ult or something like that and kill him. So I like the idea that she had, which is why I kind of really enjoy playing it with the Senna, this particular Senna player. But yeah, so here you can also see that the Senna has actually gone from the tanky build that I recommended. In this case, she's actually gone from the Iceborne Gauntlet first, which is of course a really good item in this particular matchup, because they're all AD except for Cannon, who is AP, and Cannon started Crown first item, which means that his damage is going to be a lot less than what it could have been if he went for a more aggressive first item. So here we have actually pushed out the wave. So here we're actually going to go mid and see if we can get a gank onto Cannon. Unfortunately, Cannon is kind of at the wrong side, so that's a little bit challenging. Crown has been popped. Yone unfortunately whiffs the ulti. I'm gonna actually hit the ulti though on him under tower and see if we can dive him 3v1. Unfortunately, I don't do nearly as much damage as I think I would, because I only have like one item now. The whole enemy team comes here and I'm flashing out. Unfortunately, Pantheon had already ulted before the enemy team showed up, and he has no choice but to go in because he literally is going to land at the spot, and he does end up dying and giving over a 4-kill shutdown, which is pretty unfortunate. So here, Kennen might be in the bush there, but we know that he doesn't actually have ult, so we're not too scared of him, and he only has crown, so it doesn't quite matter. We know Nautilus is nearby, and he's probably the one we want to be more scared of, because obviously if he engages on us, we could just die because he has so much CC, and Ezreal gets a lot of time to do some free damage. Speaking of which, he actually ults the Senna. Senna actually gets the root on, and I'm here just focusing the Ezreal because he's the damage dealer. Senna actually is able to survive for quite some time, and I pick up a double onto the Nautilus and eventually pick up Pantheon comes over and picks up the final kill. So the key here is that instead of ulting the Nautilus, who already used his CC, like at that point Nautilus already ulted and hooked, and CCing him is not going to help the situation very much. Instead of that, I CC the damage, which is of course the Ezreal. After Nautilus engages, Ezreal has to follow up, right? So instead of CCing the Nautilus, who at this point doesn't really matter anymore because he's already played his role and used his CC, I'm going to CC the Ezreal instead, who has to now play his role of doing the damage. But if he's getting CC'd and one shot by me, he's going to be trying to survive and not trying to do the damage. Now unfortunately for Senna, Kha'Zix happened to be there too, so I couldn't do anything against the Kha'Zix. However, she managed to survive long enough, again because of the build, because of the Iceborne Gauntlet, that now Kha'Zix and Nautilus are stuck under tower. And I'm now able to focus them after I've finished off the Ezreal. So Senna eventually ends up surviving, which is amazing. And we pick up 2 kills, Pantheon picks up 1. Could not have gone very much better. So here, because our team was all resetting, the Yone and the Pantheon were just walking out of base, the enemy team is able to actually pick up the Dragon because we are not in position to contest. But anyways, it doesn't quite matter. Dragon doesn't matter all that much. Anyways, here Pantheon gets a W onto Kha'Zix. I try to chain the CC with my ulti, but unfortunately the stun runs out and Kha'Zix hops right on away. So don't really have ult for the next bit. But honestly, Varus' ult cooldown is really fast. Like it's really you get it up so often, it's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Even as a Varus player who benefits from it, I kind of think that that's ridiculous. I think Varus ulti is way too fast in terms of the cooldown. Alright, so I actually got a message there, so hopefully that didn't scare you guys. But I do know, like, when you watch YouTube videos, sometimes like the guy making the video gets a message and then you think, hey, wait, is that my message or what's that sound and kind of situation. So whoops, I forgot to silence my phone before starting off the video or the recording. So here, huge fight breaks out in the bottom lane. I'm trying to make my way there because I believe the fight will still be ongoing, which it actually does. So here I'm making my way over. I try to get out onto the Jace, but unfortunately Jace dodges it. Here I'm trying to snipe the cannon. I actually managed to predict the flash and snipe the cannon, but I know I was gonna die, which is why I was trying to get the kill onto cannon, because I know I'm way too squishy to survive here. So I'm actually going to just end up dying to Kha'Zix and Jace. There's no way I can survive 2 damage dealers, like lethality damage dealers at that. So here you can see Senna is now harassing Ezreal. Just look at the damage Senna does, and she's building tank, by the way, right? So that's why I really think tank Senna is really strong and the best version of Senna. Now Senna unfortunately walks face first into Kha'Zix and ends up dying. However, Jace is going to be traded on by Yone. Yone picking up his first kill of the game, now 1-5-1, not doing too hot. Probably a good time to take stock of our team. So obviously Yone not doing too hot, 1-5-1. He's only like 6k plus gold. Me and Lee Sin doing really well. Lee Sin, despite his poor KDA, has been getting a lot of gold from his first strike, and he's progressing pretty well. But he has gone for a full lethality one-shot kind of build, so he's really squishy, and he's basically just an assassin now. Pantheon, in the meanwhile, is the one that actually has gone for a little bit more of a tanky build. He has, of course, the Black Cleaver, which is an item that not all Pantheons like to take because it does reduce your damage by a lot, but of course it makes you a lot more tanky. So Pantheon is actually the one who's now a lot more tanky. And of course we've covered Senna and myself. Senna has more gold, 1k more gold, more than 1k more gold, more than the Yone. So Yone really isn't doing all that hot. So here, of course, I'm just going to reset, and as I reset, Pantheon and Yone both end up dying. Senna is getting jumped on. I'm trying to make my way there as fast as I can to help her out, but unfortunately she's isolated, and even with the armor, she still ends up dying to the Kha'Zix, of course. Now it's only me and Lee Sin left. And I actually thought the enemy team would go for Baron, but Kha'Zix got spotted on that control ward at our blue buff, so he's not going for Baron, which is pretty strange, which probably means the enemy team is not going for Baron. So Lee Sin checks with a Q. They're actually not doing Baron, which is pretty strange. So here we have Jace going on, hiding somewhere. He's gonna go on Lee Sin, and I'm trying to make my way over to try to go for him, but unfortunately he basically obviously knows that I'm gonna ult him, so he just basically flashes away. Here I actually have my crown completed, so you can see that having crowns dissuades the enemy team by a lot. Like, the Nautilus was walking up to me, he sees that I have crown, and he's like, man, even if I hit my hook on him, like, how is this gonna matter? Like, he's just gonna immune it anyway. So yeah, crown is really good, especially into particular champions, like, you know, of course those hook champions. Sometimes even poke champions crown can be good on. Like, you might be thinking like, if I immune one Jace EQ, like, such a waste, but no, it's not. Like, you know, some Jace EQ could do like half of your health, you know, it's still useful. And yeah, you know, other champions like that, even a random cannon ulti coming in from nowhere, crown could save you from that. So yeah, crown really good in this particular game. And here the next dragon is up, so we're just kind of trying to find a position where we can actually enter here. And Jay's just trying to land some poke. Thankfully he doesn't land any poke onto me in particular, but he does land some poke onto my team. Lee Sin goes in, the full assassin Lee Sin, and he's just getting one shot basically. My ult somehow manages to hit nobody, but Nautilus is over chasing in, so I'm gonna just try to get the kill onto him. Unfortunately, Yone picks up the kill instead. Kha'Zix is a huge shutdown, so I'm trying to time my E to pop the stacks, but unfortunately he flashes away, so a little bit of a wrong timing. We flash over, finish off the Pantheon, and we have a lot of damage at this point. We have 3 items. Trying to snipe the Kha'Zix. Even if that hit, he wouldn't have died. So now we're trying to, me and Senna are trying to kill the Kha'Zix together, because 2 of us, you know, he can't get isolation damage. I get the ult onto him, but he goes invis, and my Q auto targets the minions, unfortunately. And here it actually becomes really dicey. Like, me and Senna both nearly die for a second there, but we do end up surviving. Crown comes back up just in time to immune an Ezreal ult, which I don't think would have killed me anyway, because I was still pretty high on health there. But regardless, we're now just going to recall and reset, and of course just pick up you know, our death cap components, which we already have both of. So here red buff is up, but I'm more interested in going for this wave than going for the red buff, because as a burst, you know, oriented kind of champion, you know, red buff is not the most attractive thing. Of course I wouldn't mind having it, but it's not really that attractive because I'm supposed to one-shot someone anyway. Like, a red buff wouldn't help all that much, which is the main reason why mages should not be taking red buff. You know, it should be taken by ADCs who can do a lot of DPS and reapply you know, red buff consistently. And here I'm just gonna farm the Gromp on the way down to joining my team. As I suspected, a fight was about to break out, and I am ready here to join my team. I'm able to get an ult on the Kha'Zix who's invis and basically just one-shot him, which is obviously the main goal here. And off of that I get a quote-unquote reset on my passive, and unfortunately I eat a lot of poke from Ezreal and Jace, so I'm gonna have to pop that fruit and pick it up. Yone trying to find a pick onto Ezreal, manages to interrupt Ezreal's dash, and it looks like he's gonna finish the kill onto... actually he does not finish the kill, so Jace, no idea what he's doing here. Tries to hop in on the flank 1v4, and doesn't really work out for him. So here Nautilus gets the hook on me, but there's not any follow-up, so I'm just gonna ult him and kill him. Kennen now is... I don't know why Senna Q didn't pop his crown, that's really weird, but Jace gets CC'd by Pantheon, and I'm just easily gonna finish him off. And I use my Q here to pop the crown of the cannon, so that if we want to or need to, we can, of course, you know, go on him afterwards. So here Elder Dragon is spawning in 10 seconds, so I'm just trying to quickly get a reset because I can get Death Cap and Stasis. So I'm of course getting Death Cap for the damage. I'm going for Stasis, you know, because there's a lot of ways I can die here. So I'm kind of fully ready for the dragon fight here. I got my stasis, I got my death cap, I got my summoner spells all ready to go. I'm ready to, of course, get a good fight here and just end the game. So here we're going to Elder Dragon. Pantheon and Yone are on the way. Obviously, everyone knows we're on the dragon. Kha'Zix's W actually manages to pop my crown, which is pretty bad. Which then allows Cannon to come in and just one-shot me before I have a chance to stasis, exhaust, or flash, which is absolutely horrendous. The good news is that Lee Sin was able to actually secure the dragon. So because of that, we are able to still kind of win the fight. Pantheon actually ults in. His ult actually kills the Kha'Zix from the Elder Dragon burn. He's able to finish off Ezreal, but he's now stuck on 1 HP. Jace is able to finish the kill onto Yone, and only Lee Sin, Pantheon, and Senna are the survivors of this encounter. Jace, of course, is the only survivor from his team, so he was the only survivor of his team before Senna changed that. So now with the entire enemy team dead, we should be able to push in for an inhibitor. Of course, the first respawn's coming in 10 seconds. I believe that Senna and Lee Sin have enough time to take an inhibitor. Might be a little bit close. But yeah, so Lee Sin even tanks the tower so the minions don't die. But I don't think that was really necessary. He just put himself in a really, a really unstable position where he is really low. And yeah. So I was trying to go for the blue buff. Unfortunately, the blue buff despawns right as I walk to it, which is pretty unfortunate because blue buff on Varus is really helpful for both ability haste as well as the mana restoration. And yeah, now I'm gonna head back over to kind of join my team. Obviously, they're now taking a reset because Senna and Lee Sin has not yet had the chance to do that. And Senna's just going full tank. She has gone for a Thornmail. Of course, it's going to be helpful against anyone that heals on the enemy team, which actually there isn't really anyone that heals on the enemy team. So, yeah. Anyways, here the Baron is up, and we're trying to, of course, see if we can do anything about it. Kha'Zix is the key player here, because if we kill Kha'Zix, he's not only really fed, but he's also the jungler, so we're on the lookout for trying to kill the Kha'Zix in particular. We spot an opportunity where he's just walking in a very predictable manner, and we just one-shot him. The root goes onto Nautilus. We finish Nautilus off, and now we're gonna chase for more. Cannon doesn't run away for some reason, so we're just gonna kill him as well with the flash. And this honestly could have been a Penta here, but unfortunately, Pantheon not only gets the kill there, but also the enemy team surrenders. So we don't have time to kill the Jace anyway. So anyways, that's pretty much it for the video. I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.